We did it.
We
We
did it.
finished Dark Matter. This was a really fast read. It was a really good read.
Really
I've been
good.
really excited to record this video. This book was top tier. Uh well let's start from the beginning though. Before we give our overall ratings reviews, let's go through our RSQ rating system.
It's been really hard not to talk about it these last
Yeah,
couple. I mean, we finished in 2 days,
yeah.
like 50% one day, 50% another, and it's been hard because we're like, oh hey, do you want to? And we're like, nope, save it for the review, save it
Yep.
for the people,
We've had to stop ourselves so that you our loyal fans can hear
loyal
our thoughts on
fans.
it and we don't burn it all
And
before we're
also
recording.
peep that Dakota has this book and I do not because mine did not arrive on time. I finished the book too fast. It
And
just
once
happens.
again, peep the stinking printed on sticker that does not come off.
Yeah, we need to call somebody back.
But it was a fantastic book. So, without further ado, character development. Kick us off, Curtis.
Character development. That was the point of the book, was character development. And what I mean by that is, so should I just like delve into kind of what happened? Like a quick synopsis? I feel like I
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like I
yeah.
have to.
Give a quick synopsis. Spoiler
So,
alert if you haven't read this book, then go to TikTok and watch the clip version of it where we don't give any spoilers.
spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2. Yeah. So story is Jason, our homeboy, married with a child. Well, he's 14, but child. Um, goes to a bar to meet his buddy, and on his way home, he is essentially, I guess you would call it abducted. He got in the driver's seat, and someone was like, "Take me or to drive, just drive." And he's like, "Don't
Go to
hurt me,
this
bro."
location.
Yeah, go to this location, or I'll hurt you and kill your family, which is like not ideal. And the problem is, the person that abducts him knows literally everything about him, down to like he knows his phone password, he knows like his full schedule, he knows everything, right? So he drugs him and lays him on the floor. And he goes, "What did you drug me with?" And he goes, "Well, it'd be really confusing to tell you." He passes out, wakes up in the same place, but not the same place. So, long story short, he is in a separate reality or the multiverse, essentially. So, the whole point of this book was character development, right? So, this alternate reality is instead of choosing his wife when she got pregnant, he chose his career. He's a very successful physicist, chose his career instead and made this cube where he essentially manipulates the dark matter,
It's
like the
the
quantum
cube is
kind
like
of.
Schrodinger's cat. Like
Yeah.
whatever is inside the cube, since it's unobserved, is neither dead nor alive. And his whole theory is that if you use a drug to make it so that your brain is like not observing your surroundings, then you can you can slip into alternate realities.
Yes. And there's a lot that goes with it. I'm sure we'll talk about it more as we go on. But essentially, he was kidnapped by himself and replaced by himself because the career oriented version of him in the alternate reality wanted the other life. He had some regrets and he goes, "I was very successful, but I wanted this other choice and I didn't get to have it." So it follows our main boy, Jason, the one who abducted him is Jason 2, literally, as he's called in the book. Follows Jason and how he's discovering different Jasons along the way in different versions of his wife and everything, and how different paths led to different things, different minute choices, big choices. So it's all about coming to terms with the choices you made and whether or not you can have regrets because you are where you are because of the choices you made. And that was really long and drawn out, but I feel like it's very important.
It
I feel
is.
like it's very important.
You have
And
to
I know you
understand
probably
that
have a
for
lot
our
more.
review.
Yes, it's very important. Sorry, I had to take my socks off. I'm sweating. I got too into it. So anyway, Jason's our main character, along with Jason 2, his wife. His son's kind of just there. He doesn't really develop too much, but um, yes, and a girl named Amanda, who is a scientist in Jason 2's world, who goes along with Jason for the ride. And I feel like she's got some very quick character development and is done very well as
Yep.
well.
Yeah, I wrote that too.
Yeah, talk about some things.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like if someone said, Curtis and Dakota, what's your most important category for a book when you're rating it? And we were like, oh, character development. And they were like, great, I'll go ahead and write a sci-fi book focused entirely on character development, and then I'll let you review it and you can tell me what you think. That's basically what happened because I feel like this is such a special book because we get to the point where there's multiple Jasons and we get to see the character and how the character would develop and how the character would make different choices with only like slightly different options, right? Like like a version of the character that's more traumatized, that becomes more violent and becomes more aggressive, or a version of the character that is, I mean, there's so many versions of the character. The character
Yeah,
development focuses on Jason and it's so well done. We get to see
so well done.
a full spectrum of this person, Jason. And we get a little bit of his wife and his child and a little bit of Amanda. But the main person, Jason, we get this like full spectrum of development. It is,
Literally so multifaceted because you get to see different versions of the same character. So you get to write all the possibilities. And my favorite thing was in the end, which we'll come to in story end, but it's with character development is he trusts all these other versions of himself to choose his wife and child in this like lottery system to who will be with them and the rest of them will, I don't know, go away or die or blow up. Doesn't matter because some of the Jasons, whatever they went through, whatever choices they made, are like, you know what? I would rather kill everybody and they can only be with me type thing. It doesn't matter what's best for them, it's what's best for me. And he's
yeah.
so shocked by that. So he's shocked by his own versions of character development. It was so crazy.
And the versions of him with just slightly different, slightly more trauma, slightly more difficult journeys to get back to the wife and child. Like and at one point, someone shoots at him while he's in the car with his wife and child. One of him
Mhm.
shoots at him, and he's like, "Who? Which one of me would dare to shoot at me while they're here and put them in danger?" He's like, "I would never do that. I would accept defeat before I did that." He'd be like, "I never get to see them again," and fall into despair before he would like shoot at himself while they're in the car.
Nuts. I was flying through this book. Like
Yeah,
I
this
was
was a
reading it,
page
I'm like,
turner.
I just want more. And it wasn't that long, but we'll go into pacing. We'll talk about
We're
it.
skipping ahead. We're skipping ahead.
I'm just too excited.
It was such a good book.
So I feel like, oh, so we're giving that a point, obviously.
Yeah.
1 point for the road. Originality and creativity, Mr. Dakota.
Yeah, the way that they piloted the box that they used to switch realities, crazy. The way it being piloted by their own feelings and their emotions was perfect, especially for character development, right? It was so creative and so original, and it just being like, I can't just say what world I want to end up in. I have to feel what world I want to end up in, and that will guide me. Crazy.
Yeah, and it kind of branches off like the whole like I feel like very big right now, especially in like television media and stuff like that, is the multiverse, right? And I don't know what year this came out. I think it was 2018.
Hmm.
But still, I it's like big right now, and this was such a unique way of doing it. And kind of a little bit of spit on Groundhog's Day. It's not the same day over and over, but it kind of is. Every day they come out of the cube, they do the same thing to try and find out, okay, is this my world or not? And they go, no, this sign is red instead of blue like it should be, and we know that that's wrong. So then they leave after a bit and stuff like that. So yeah, very original. Point for me.
Very, yeah, same here. Very original, very creative. The story ending and wrap up.
You talk about this one first, and I'll branch off of that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I gave it a point here. It was another one of the ones where I selfishly want more, right? Like he left it open-ended enough in that
Hmm.
it's a thriller. It's a sci-fi thriller, and he left some mystery, which is totally fine for this, right? Because like there are endless possibilities, and I selfishly want more. I want there to be more, but I am very satisfied with how it wrapped up because I think it was probably the only way it could have wrapped up with the options he made in a world where there's suddenly like nine more of him. No, it was like infinite more of him. They got,
There was 50 when he left.
yeah.
So
The whole
yeah, I
premise
think the
is
ending
that
was great.
when he discovers how to get back, there are versions of him that make infinitely different choices before they make it back. Like one of them doesn't realize how to get back right away. One of them has different feelings and ends up in a different reality before he makes it back. And so it's crazy.
Yeah, all the Jason's versions of him that were trying to kill him when he made it back to his own world were versions of him when he first went into the cube. So like he was the exact same person as that person up until 14 days before or whatever it was. So they were so similar and they all thought the same. So that was the problem is they were all thinking the same thing, trying to get, to the wife and kids.
Yeah,
And
the whole, like, him battling against himself was
that was
super
cool.
unique and super creative because as the author, you have to write your character to do things out of character intentionally so that himself can't track himself.
Back to character development real quick. Jason 2 also developed really well because he's the one that took over his life. He goes, I'm going to be, I had the career. Now I want the wife and kid. And I could just take over. And at the end, he ends up dying and gives back the wedding ring and tells him to look in the glove box as his last thing, like giving up, like, listen, you deserve this. I was wrong. This is like last penance for that. And I thought that was super
He's
cool
like
instead
in
of,
death.
you got me. How dare you?
Yeah, in death he supports himself. In death it's like you win. Like you're me. Take it
Yeah.
away.
And back to the story end, like you said, it had to end that way. Selfishly, you want more, but you had to end that way because I don't think the book could ever end.
Oh
Because
yeah.
if you have all these Jasons figuring out a way to keep going, you can't go anywhere and avoid that. So I think they ended it so perfectly to where they have this bright new future and anything could happen. And anything probably does happen and currently is happening for Jason
Still
and family.
still going on.
Yes. World building and setting. How we feeling?
Also great. I mean, we got we got a little bit of it in him exploring other worlds, trying to make it back to the box. It's one of those things where it leans on an existing world, which is great and makes the author's life so much simpler. But describing the setting of the lab, fantastic, and then the setting of the different worlds he visited, trying to make it home, also fantastic. And that's such a cool idea. That's such like a simple way as an author to get like to create easy worlds that you don't have to fully define. You can give little snippets and then leave them be. That was really cool. Like a post, like in one version, it was in a Chicago that was like a snow apocalypse, like buried in snow, endless winter. Another version, like all the buildings were falling and crumbling, like nuclear fallout. It's the world building was really cool.
I gave it a point as well because same things you mentioned, and also that like so the main points that we had like a diner they kept going to, a motel, his house, and like the lab. Well, the motel was huge because you have your setting, right? But they were able to come back to it and there would be slight changes. And you could pick up on them as a reader because they described it so well. And you come in and they'd be like, oh, the name is different, or, the sign color is different. And just those subtle tweaks
Yeah,
change the whole world. Now you're picturing, oh, this is right. And now that it's slightly off, the whole thing's off. I
yeah, he
forget what
did
they
such
called
a
it in
good
the book.
job. He did such a good job to making his little worlds so defined that when the character ended up in an alternate one that was slightly different, you could immediately tell. You're like, that's not it. This isn't it. It's not the world. All right, next we have pacing and structure.
I felt it was
Chris,
perfect.
how'd you feel about the pacing?
I felt it was perfect. And normally I don't have an issue with pacing, but I feel like I pick out on it really quick.
Yeah.
If I sense like a drag or something, my brain's like, oh, this is annoying. Like, didn't even pay attention to my percentage, which is hard because I'm like to be like, where am I at? I just kept reading and reading and reading. And then it was done. I didn't feel there was a lull in anything. I felt even when they were traveling to the different doors, in the different realities, I feel like it was done well to where they kept us along and engaged the entire.
Yeah, none of it was boring. None of it was useless. Like even some of his interactions with other characters, other versions of characters he knows, were they served a purpose, right? It wasn't just like we're having dinner. It was like I'm exploring that this is a different world and trying to come to terms with what's going on here. And I'm getting to know others that I know in my reality. There's just all the pacing was good. It was fantastic.
A specific example, and I didn't write it down, and I'm mad at myself because there is I forget what the rule is called in writing, but the example that they give is if you are describing a room and you're describing like, oh, there's snowshoes and a gun on the door, you later have to use the snowshoes and
Right.
gun. It has to serve a purpose. I forgot what it was in this book, but it was something. Oh, his chandelier, the chandelier in his house. He was just offhandedly described how much he loved it. But then later on, the world looked the exact same until he went up to the house and noticed his chandelier was gone. I'm like, "Oh." Which it sounds so small, but it's like those little things are
It's like,
so
yeah,
cool.
right.
I like that. I
Me
gotta
too.
look up what that's called. But that was super cool. I like
I agree. It was good.
emotionally impactful question mark.
I gave it an easy point here. As a husband and a father, I was along for the emotional roller coaster of this guy who's like suddenly loses everything and everyone around him thinks he's crazy. And he's like, I just want my family back. I was like, man,
Mhm.
that's like a shot to the heart. Like, I feel it.
Yeah. And that was what drove him the whole time. He goes, I don't care that I didn't choose the career. I mean, he had wondered throughout, but eventually came to a decision. But the whole time he knew he was like, I want my wife and kid. He was very focused on his wife. He cared a little bit less about his kid, it seemed like. But his wife,
He was very focused on his wife.
very emotionally impactful. I really enjoyed it. And I
I did
even
too.
felt bad for the other Jasons a little bit
Me too.
because they're like, they weren't wrong. They were him.
Yeah, they were just unlucky.
They were just unlucky
At any
because they
moment
weren't
in
right.
time, I was waiting for this to be a big unreliable narrator twist because a lot of the time you get so sucked into stories like this and then the author reminds you, hey, this is an unreliable narrator. And like so I was ready for it to be like he gets there and he's not the original, right? Like he's or like he was
That would have been
great. I
interesting.
was just ready for it to be a big twist, kind of like a Shutter Island kind of thing
Yeah.
where it's like by the way, you
Spoilers for
can
Shutter Island.
you can't trust your narrator. Like that's the whole purpose, right? It's like so I was ready for it to be a big twist like that, but it wasn't. But yeah, but anyway, either way, it was great. I felt bad for the other Jasons too.
I still keep thinking about it because they were
No,
right. They were right.
they were. They didn't do anything different other
Only
than
reason they lost is plot armor from
yep,
our main Jason,
yep.
even though they were the main Jason. God,
They were all the main Jason. There were no differences.
one was the author. Um, writing style and prose. How do you feel here?
Great. I flew through it. The language was great. I didn't like nothing was clunky or choppy. There weren't any weird changes or switches in the style.
And you know what's really hard to do that I feel like this author did well is when you have like really complex ideas, especially like scientific ideas, like oh, we're gonna like the multiverse and like
Right.
quantum. It's hard not to like get bogged down in details and like either overwhelm the reader or just you have a bunch of smart sounding stuff in there and the reader doesn't care. Everything's broken down really well, and I feel like anyone could pick this up and not be lost by
Yeah,
all what's going on.
it's a really fine line between I have to make this make sense enough that the reader like understands like, oh, they can travel the multiverse because of this, while also not making it about like, let me try and get into the fake science that explains this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the author did a great job. I'm very pleased.
Agreed. Another point there. Engaging storyline. What'd you think about that? I think we've talked enough about that one this whole time to already know where we're going here.
I mean, it's one of the points, right? There's three main things that this book does really well, which is everything, but it's character development, it's themes, and it's engaging storyline.
Yeah.
I I had a good time. I don't even know what to say for this part.
I don't
Uh,
either. It was great. Being in this book was amazing. Like reading this book was a trip from start to finish. And every moment as soon as I finished, I was like, we need to film a review right now because I want to talk about this book so badly.
I was afraid we were gonna get too far into our next book that like I was gonna start forgetting stuff, and I got busy at work, so I couldn't write down notes, and I'm like, brain retain for once in your
Retain all of
life.
this information. It's important.
Please, I'm trying to
Next,
do something here.
next category, I'm also very excited about. You want to talk about it first? Meaningful themes.
I I'm gonna give this one to you. I feel like you need to talk about themes. I feel like are big Dakota items.
They are big Dakota items. Yeah, the themes here crazy out of this world, just like character development. The themes of regret, like are you happy, the looking at like moral themes, like is it, if you are slightly more traumatized, does it justify one of you shooting at another version of you to try and save your wife
Mhm.
and kid from you? Like there's so many, the themes here are not only very deep but very well rounded. We get to look at this Jason who goes to like, I mean, even the moral theme of is it his fault that his wife in an alternate timeline gets killed because he goes to her and explains everything to her. Like we just get there's so many micro moral dilemmas and so many themes that we get to see internally because the character is developing himself because he's meeting himself. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's nuts. There's whole like you could argue there's themes for the do the ends justify the means because everybody's right for the most part. I mean, obviously, killing one another isn't, but like if you all come to term like you're the same person. So like none of you are technically wrong. So what makes you the right choice besides the
Yeah.
fact that you want your wife and life and child?
And you can look at Jason too as well, right? The theme of like is it is he justified? Is he not evil because he chooses to give himself like he's like you've had the wife and kid life, let me give you the like full stardom famous physicist, let me give you the other side and you can see how it looks and I'll take the wife and kid life. Like there's a whole theme there of is that was he wrong, was he evil, yes he was the bad guy, but
I
that's a
think we could
whole
clearly argue that was wrong. I think that was another thing is what Amanda said is he would could justify Jason could justify anything.
yeah.
And I think that's exactly what happened. A couple of things I wrote down were taking anything for granted, things, places, people, but especially experiences. Like he was talking about small little things, and Danielle was talking about small little things too, or Danielle or I think it was Danielle.
Was it, I think it was Daniela, was it Daniela this whole time we've been saying Danielle, it was Daniela with an A.
Because he calls her Danny
Oops.
or Dana
Yeah,
or something.
he calls her Danny.
Yep, Danny, we'll call her. Um, she notices like the little things that like Jason does, like the way he brushes his teeth and the fact that he dries his dishes different, and just things that she doesn't that she just notices the little
His like
tiny
dinner
quirks.
conversation.
Yeah, the dinner conversation, and even Charlie, their child, noticed that, and like little things that they took for granted that were nice, but they missed the way things were.
Yeah.
And that's another theme is regret. That's the whole thing is, oh, I switched this because I regret not choosing the wife. And one of the lines that I quoted were, "What are the core components that make me me?" Because he was having this identity crisis that like, what even makes me me if all these small choices lead to vastly different things? Is anything me, or am I literally just a clump of choices that could be anything? Which is crazy to think about,
Yeah.
I feel like.
It's wild. And then to even think about how Jason 2 is not him from the perspective of like his wife and his kid notice the difference. And they're like, this is not our husband and our father. This is a different guy.
Do you think they would have noticed if this Jason didn't get there first, but a different Jason would have gotten there first? Because Jason 2 was from like very big difference, but a
Yeah.
different Jason that got through the box. Do you think she would have noticed it all? I don't think so.
No, I don't think she could have. It because I mean, they're all the same, right?
Yeah, they're
It's
the
like
same person.
Jason 1 is kidnapped. He's gone for like he's in one world for like 2 weeks and he's traveling the multiverse for like 2 weeks before he makes it home. So up until like the 14 days prior that he was traveling the multiverse, every other version of Jason that comes out of the box is him and shares every single moment of his life with him. Even the abducting, even the like the last memory he had with her before he was abducted. I don't think there's any way to I don't, it's one of the things that makes you sympathetic towards him, right? Because there's no way to differentiate them other than that we got the narrate.
Yeah. And I don't know, that's just crazy to me. It's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, it was a trip. It was great.
It was a trip. Ability and lasting impact. I'll take this one. I would last yeah, it's a point. I would for sure reread this. I want to watch the show.
Yeah, this made me want to watch the show, which
And
is
lasting
crazy.
impact, I'll be thinking about this one for a while.
Yeah, it's not.
I
It's going to
really
be
like
in the
this one.
dome for a long time.
Yeah. And it's gonna be hard not to compare other like sci-fi, but especially if they hit like a multiverse thing. I'm gonna be thinking back to this book.
Yeah, it's another one of the ones that do like that show me that set the tone and the definition. They set the bar high for short books. Like this is in the 360 pages of this book, which like it's not short, but it's short. It's a really quick read. In the 360 pages of this book, it hits like all the boxes, and it just reminds me that like, hey, short doesn't mean you're not hitting all the boxes. You can still do all the things that a good book has in a short amount of time. Sets the bar high.
Speaking of hitting all of the boxes, how do we feel in the absolute banger category? It's an
I mean,
11 out of 10.
it's
It is
for
an
sure.
absolute banger.
I had zero complaints about this. I have nothing to. I have no negative things to say.
No, when I finished the book, I already knew it was 11 out of 10. I just had to get like notes down to like so my brain could remember specific talking points. But I knew I was like, I don't need to go through the ratings. I already
We
knew
don't
it
need
was
to.
going to be.
We don't need to look at it. It's an 11 out of 10. Yeah, it is an easy 11 out of 10. This book's fantastic. Definitely RSQ recommended. It's
RSQ recommended for sure.
It's an emotional thriller from start to finish. Perfect character development. Perfect pacing. It's the whole package. What was the last thing I said that about? Bloodsworn? It's another whole package.
It's another whole package. And I think, okay, there's some recency bias, which is hard to fight. But this might be my favorite read of the year so far. It's up there.
Yeah. It's
up there.
I
It's
think
top three.
Yeah, it's definitely top 3 for me as well. As much as Bloodsworn was great, there's also something really special about this being so contained and like just one like clear, easy read. You read it and it's done. It doesn't span like days. It doesn't take like weeks of your time. It's like, whoa, that the 3 hours I read this book rocked my world.
You didn't read it in 3 hours first off.
It was like 4.5, maybe 6. I don't know.
Anyway,
It just felt fast because I read it in like 2 sittings.
that's true. And even though it's less room on your bookshelf, it's more room in your brain bookshelf. In your brain, in your heart. Wrong side. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, it was
Well,
great.
yeah, I don't
I
know
don't
if
know
you
what
have
else.
any final points,
Yeah,
but
I mean, it was a fantastic book.
I'm gonna be thinking about every decision I make now and what Curtis 47 is gonna be doing.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I feel like it makes you really think like it made me think afterwards about my life, and I was like, I'm super happy with where I'm at and my choices and stuff like that. But it made me think, I'm like,
Yeah, that
oh,
was
what would
another
have happened
theme.
if this? What would happen if this? Like, it just made me think.
I was the flip theme. If the main theme of this is like regret and like, are you happy with your decisions? I think the other side of the coin, the directly opposite theme, like maybe tandem, parallel, whatever you want to call it, is being confident in your choices and okay with your like being in a place in your life where you can be like Jason 100% confident and say, my life's great. I want the life I have. I don't want the better me life. I want my life, right? Like
Yeah,
these are the decisions I made and they made me who I am. And I don't want to go see what it'd be like to be a famous physicist. I want my life with all my regrets and all my choices.
and it makes you come to appreciate the things that you didn't do too. And that was another theme, is you appreciate the choices you didn't make because you could be somewhere else. Even if that thing would be good, it's not what you have now. Appreciate what you have, people.
Appreciate it. Have some perspective.
Love yourself.
Love everybody.
Love everybody. All right, then.
Yeah, it was great. With
It was
that,
great.
what are we reading
right
next?
now. We are reading The Troop currently. That was in our last wheel spin video. I believe it's another. I didn't even look it up. I'm almost 100% positive another standalone. So we'll be probably flying through this one, I feel like, and we'll be talking about that. So look forward to that coming out. It's another kind of theme shift from genre shift, I should say, from what we normally read, which has been good for my brain. I feel like it
Me too.
hits the right spots.
Yeah, it's a nice little switch it up. It's good.
Mhm. All right, then. Well, on that note, thanks for listening to us ramble about a fantastic book, and we will see you at the next book, good or bad.
RSQ out.
RSQ out.